If you have never been audited or examined by the SEC, you are on a shorter list than you think. The SEC's 2026 exam priorities named never examined and recently registered advisors as a priority focus for them, meaning you are probably a target. Now, they target several different times. They target typically every 5 years, between 3 and 7 specifically. They target about that 12 to 18-month window when you first start. And if you've never been audited and you're skating by, they are coming for you. They typically try to target 15% of financial firms across the board. So you might be in that group, you might not be in that group, but this year they are making a massive focus to target them. But how does this all work? Why does it actually matter? And how does this relate to a lemonade stand? Well, in this video, that's what I'm breaking down. So that way it's super, super simple. And what you need to know, who handles what, the SEC, the FTC, and why do you need certain tools to do certain things? That's all being talked about here in this video. How are you doing? My name is Harrison Barron from Secure Wealth IT. We are a managed service provider and we help financial firms, specifically either broker dealers or RIAs, make sure that not only they are secure, but compliant as well, making sure the technology works the way they want, things connect the way they want, but also making sure that, hey, if something does happen, you have the appropriate things in place for an exam. Like, if you want to check out our website, you can go through and we make sure that it is just as simple as possible. And you don't have to sit there and potentially worry about, hey, what's going to actually happen, or do I have everything in place? You can see the industries that we service. We are very, very specific to broker dealers and financial firms. That is all we do all day, every day. And we have a ton of resources, a finance calculator, resources that you can go grab, and we are constantly working on more stuff. If you want to check that out, securewealthit.com. I will also leave some links down below. So let's talk about the lemonade stand here. And I'm actually going to pull up my screen because I want to share with you, even though it's a nice little picture, a picture of this lemonade stand, because this lemonade stand is super simple, right? We have this lemonade stand. Now let's pretend that your RIA is the lemonade stand. The stand helps people with their money instead of selling drinks, right? Kind of the same thing. There is a rule, there's a rule maker who watches the stand. And that is the SEC, right? They are there to watch over and make sure that, hey, you are doing what you say that you're supposed to be doing. And there's actually three rule makers in town, right? We have the SEC, which you're probably fairly familiar with. They watch you, right? Then you have FINRA, which watches stands that also sell cookies, right? And cookies means broker dealers. Simple as that, right? So you have FINRA, which is watching the broker dealers, but they're also watching, right? The FINRA watches stands that also sell those cookies. Simple enough. Most of you, right, only sell lemonade, and that's okay, watching these videos, and we're helping people that sell cookies too, right? If you are a normal fee only RA, the SEC is your rule maker. That's it. It is pretty simple when it comes to that. And then you have the state rule makers, which watch smaller lemonade stands, right? Under $100 million assets under management. Your state watches you, not the SEC. The exam process is similar. The SEC version is what I am walking you through in today's video. So what does the SEC actually do to the stand, right? Back to our little lemonade stand here. Well, it makes the rules for the stand. It's pretty self-explanatory, right? It also sends inspectors to come check the stand. That is your examination, your audit, right? It also punishes the stand if it breaks the rules. Obviously, that's what they would do, right? The inspectors are called the Division of Examinations. That is who actually shows up when it is time for that exam to start. So how does the exam actually start? Right? Because you have your fancy little lemonade stand, you're pouring lemonade, and if I prepped a little more, maybe I would have made a little jug of lemonade for this video, but how does an SEC exam start? Well, the first thing is a mailbox. I was going to pull up a bunch of images, but I'm going to walk you through it. Your mailbox, a letter shows up in it. The SEC does not just show up. They're not SWAT teams. They're not kicking down doors. It almost always starts with a letter or occasionally, sometimes, a quick phone call. There's no sirens, no badges at the door. You're not getting a notice saying you've been selected. You're just getting a notice saying, hey, you are going to be going through an exam. And it comes with a list of documents that they want. They want to prove that, hey, you're doing the right things. So why does the SEC pick your lemonade stand, right? Well, reason number one is routine, right? Truthfully, most exams, you did nothing wrong. That's it. They just, you just came across their desk and they're doing it for you. There's also a risk based cycle that nobody seems to be talking about. Historically, the industry rule of thumb has been every 3 to 5 years for larger firms. Now, I've seen 3 to 5, seen 3 to 7. I typically say it's about 5 years, give or take. The more and more I have conversations with financial firms and RIAs, it seems to be that 5 year sweet spot, but there's definitely some that have been audited earlier and some that have been audited later. Some of them that I've spoken to don't even remember the last time they had an SEC exam and they think that they're flying under the radar. This might be your year. I'm sorry to crush your dreams, right? And the SEC does not run a strict calendar. They pick based on risk. That's truthfully how that risk happens, right? Reason number two, you've never been examined. This is a massive priority for 2026. This is the one that if you haven't been examined, you should probably be worried about. The SEC has a specific program for RAs that have never been examined, and you might be on that chopping block. And then three, the worst one, for cause. Somebody complained, a client, an employee, a whistleblower, whomever it is, somebody said something, and unfortunately put you on their radar. Or the SEC saw something weird in your ADV filing. That's something totally fine as well. They are looking at those things. More often than not, it's usually an employee, whistleblower, someone complained. Sometimes it is that ADV filing is if it shows up as like, hey, this is something pops up in their system you need to look out for, they will immediately start to take actions on it. The SEC will not tell you it is a for-cause exam. They will just show up asking pointed questions in one specific area. These are the exams that turn into enforcement more often than not, right? If you're doing the right thing, you're probably fine. It's usually going to fall into those one or two categories. If they know that you're doing something wrong, this is typically, but they're not going to tell you, hey, you're doing something wrong. They're trying to catch you doing something wrong because they want to prove negligence. So what does the letter actually ask for? First, Form ADV, current and prior. Your compliance manual, super simple. Your last two annual reviews under Rule 206 4-7. A client agreement and fee schedules. Marketing materials, a list of every client, their assets and their fees, emails and communication samples, personal trading records for access persons, vendor lists and due diligence files. This is totally a new one for this round, right, under the new regulation S&P, because they want to see the 72-hour rule and some other things. And they also are looking for to make sure this is done in a timely manner. They don't have all day, right? And they want to try to get this done in a 30-day window. That's it. You typically have a 30-day window to produce all of this. Some requests are a bit more aggressive. You should be able to pull these somewhat quickly. If you cannot pull those documents in 30 days, you have a problem even before the exam starts. I would make every effort to get them done as soon as you possibly can. If you need to go fix something, and then send it over, but it should be a pretty high priority. So part 4, what happens during the actual exam? Well, typically you are going to send those documents and the real exam actually begins. They used to be all on site. Now it's mostly remote over video calls, secure file transfers. On site still happens, but only for bigger firms for the most part. It's pretty rare to hear of a smaller firm having an on site. I won't say it won't happen because they're constantly changing things, especially this year in 2026 and beyond, because of regulation S&P. They want to see everything, and they want to see that there's things not printed all over the place and easily accessible, right? The single most important thing that you need to understand is examiners are not looking at whether you have policies. They are looking at whether or not you follow them. That is the most important thing. You have to have those policies. And in some cases, some companies give them to you. Us as an MSP or managed service provider, we give them to you. But they compare your written policies to your actual behavior, and then they look for the gaps and the deficiencies. It's pretty simple. And there are 7 areas they poke at the hardest. And this is really where you kind of want to pay attention, because while this is not the most exciting thing, remember, we're trying to protect your little lemonade stand here, right? One is your compliance program. Do you have a written program under Rule 206 4-7? Now, sometimes some software companies might give this to you, but do you actually do the annual review? And Do you do what you say you did? They want proof of it. Is your CCO real, and can they answer questions? That's it. That's really what they're looking for. 2, fiduciary duty and conflicts. Are you acting in the client's best interest? Did you disclose that your conflicts inform ADV? And by the way, the only reason why I know all this is because we have people that are talking to us about exams and need help to prepare for exams down the road. So we've spent tons and tons of time to make sure this works as seamless as possible here, right? And did you disclose your conflicts in the form ADV? If there's conflicts of interest or anything like that, you have to disclose those things as well. 3, the marketing rule. Testimonials, endorsements. The SEC put out a specific risk alert on this in December of 2025. Performance advertising, third-party ratings on your websites. If you use client quotes anywhere, they will check for it. 4, custody. Do you have custody of the client's assets as defined? If yes, you are getting a surprise annual audit. That's pretty much it. Most advisors think that they do not have custody. Some do, and some don't know if they do or don't. 5, books and records under Rule 204-2. 5 years of records. The first 2 easily accessible. The additional 3 they want archived in worm format. Read once, write many. It is just an easy way for you to go through it. Emails, text, marketing materials, client agreements, trade records are all part of Rule 204-2. If you cannot produce it quickly, that is a deficiency by itself, and they will come after you for that one. Quickly meaning you're getting all of this in that 30-day window, right? If it takes longer than that, that's when they are looking at you saying, hey, why is this not readily accessible here? 6, cybersecurity and regulation S&P. New for 2026, as most of you know, it started in December of last year, right? Written incident response program. You need to have that. It's a massive packet of information, vendor oversight, ability to notify clients within 30 days if there's a breach. This is where, unfortunately, a lot of smaller RIAs are going to lose points this year. And look, it's not something you can't correct. You absolutely can, but they are looking for it. 7, personal trading and code of ethics. Now, this is not in my world, but this is what my research has brought me to. Access persons reporting their trades, pre-clearance where required, and attestations. That's another one. And they're also going to conduct some interviews. Examiners will talk to the CEO and walk you through, hey, I need to talk to this person, I need to talk to this person, the CEO, and often other advisors. So don't be alarmed if they ask to speak to somebody else. They're checking whether people know the policies, not just whether the policies exist or know where they're located. And if your CCO cannot describe your annual review process in plain English, huge red flag. Sorry. So that is going to be the basic process for you. Now, there's a lot in here, and I want to talk about why compliance tools actually exist, but that's going to be in the next video following this. And I'm going to talk more about that lemonade stand because this is going to be a multi-part series. There's a lot of information that goes into this, and I'm going to be talking about the lemonade stand, notebooks and why those are important for it, but at least you now know in very plain English what they're actually looking for and the things that you can start to get ready. I know that it's not the most exciting thing, but when you look at what the SEC says, it's a ton of information. I hope that I broke it down in a way that's easy to digest. And in my next video, I'm going to be talking about compliance tools specifically and the 2 kinds of compliance tools that actually exist, whether it's archiving or compliance for the SEC. I'll see you on the next one. And if you enjoyed this video, hit a like button, subscribe button, and a notification bell.